Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to the lecture of functional analysis. 4 to 5 participants have joined. Let us start the today's lecture. In this lecture, we are going to complete the theorem of uniform boundedness, which is actually a last point of Banach spaces. Okay, with this, Banach space will be completed. Okay, before going to the statement directly, we'll try to understand what is uniform boundedness first. Then we will go to understand what is the theorem with its proof. Let me share my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Therefore, we will start with the theorem today, uniform boundedness theorem, which is also known as Banach-Steinhaus theorem. This was known as Banach-Steinhaus because it was proved by a pair of mathematicians, Stefan Banach and Hugo Steinhaus in 1927. We know what is the meaning of a bounded function, right? In this theorem, we are going to understand what is uniform boundedness. Okay. Therefore, first we will try to understand the definition of uniform boundedness. Uniform boundedness. Okay, we know if any function is said to be bounded if, suppose I am writing a function f say from a to b, right? If any function is bounded, then we say that it is bounded if mod of f of x is less than or equals to some constant for all x in the domain A, right? Okay. Therefore, here this is called as a bounded function. This concept is bounded function. But in order to understand uniform boundedness, suppose we have a family of bounded functions with us. Suppose if we have a family of bounded functions. Okay. If in a family of bounded function, no doubt every function is bounded, and for every bounded function there exists one such a constant, right? Suppose we have some functions, say f1, f2 and so on, fn and so on. For every bounded function there exists one positive constant, right? Say k1, k2 up to kn and so on. Okay, that is for a bounded function there exists one positive constant which is greater than absolute value of any value of that function, right? Absolute value of any value of the function. This is what we know, right? But if we consider the family of bounded functions, these positive constants, whichever under the considerations, may vary from function to function. These positive constants may vary from function to function, and if it is possible to find out one constant that bounds all the functions, this, okay, what I'm saying, if it is possible to find out one constant that bounds all functions, then this family of bounded functions is called as uniformly bounded. Okay. This is what a meaning of uniform boundedness. Let us go to a today's statement of the theorem. We'll write the statement first and then we'll try to understand. Therefore, here the statement says that let B be a Banach space. Okay, B be a Banach space and N is any non-linear space if set Ti is a non-empty set of bounded linear transformations of B into N such that, what such that? Set Tix is bounded. Set Tix is bounded subset of capital N for each vector x in V. Then prove that. What to prove? See, set norm Ti is a bounded subset or bounded set, which means that set Ti, this set Ti is bounded as a subset. Bounded as a subset of B of Bn. B of Bn. We know very well what is B of Bn. What is B of Bn? B of Bn is collection of all bounded linear transformations or continuous linear transformations from B to N. Okay, let me check whether any participants are left. No. Okay, the theorem says that if B is a Banach space, set and N is a nonlinear space, set Ti is a non-empty set of bounded linear transformations of B into N, then set Tix is a bounded subset of N for each vector x in V, and our aim is to prove that norm Ti is a bounded set, which means that set Ti is bounded as a subset of B of N. Okay, in short, let me just tell you what the theorem. Okay, this we are not going to include in the statement. Right? We are not going to include in the proof. Right? What is given? Ti is defined to be a function from B to N. Okay, and this is bounded and linear both. This is bounded and linear. I am not sharing the proof here. This is just for the sake of understanding. Okay. Therefore, whenever we start with one fixed vector x in V, where will be a Ti image? Tix will be an element of N. What is given to us? Set Tix. Now, once I fix x, once I fix a vector x, what Tix will be? Tix will be the collection of vectors in N. Therefore, Tix is given to be bounded subset. Bounded subset of N. Right? Because Tix is no doubt the elements of the normed linear space N. This is given. Okay, these are the given things. Tix is bounded subset of N. Okay, but what we want to prove? We want to prove that set Tix or norm Ti is bounded set. Norm Ti is bounded set, which equivalently means that set Ti is bounded subset of B of Bn. Okay. Now, whenever we want to prove that this Ti is a bounded subset, suppose I want to prove S to be any S is any subset of a given set, say A. S is any subset of A, and whenever I want to prove that S is bounded, what we are proving? Norm x is less than or equals to K for all x in S. The same logic we want to use here. We want to prove that set Ti is bounded. Set Ti is bounded subset of B of N. Means what we want to prove? Norm Ti is less than or equals to some positive constant. This is what the aim of the theorem is. This is what the aim of the theorem is. I think I am audible clearly. If it is not audible, you can just unmute yourself and tell me. Right? This is what a theorem means. Tix is given to be bounded subset, and we want to prove that Ti is bounded set. In simple language, one can say that it was given to be pointwise bounded. Right? The function Ti is given to be pointwise bounded and we want to prove it as uniform bounded. We want to prove it as uniform bounded. Therefore, the meaning of the theorem is simply if domain is Banach space, if domain is Banach space, then pointwise boundedness implies uniform boundedness. Pointwise boundedness implies uniform boundedness. Therefore, this was one of the characteristics given by the domain space to be a Banach space, and that's why the name of the theorem is uniform boundedness principle. This is what about a statement itself. If we understand the statement very clearly, then there is nothing to worry about the proof. Okay, let me repeat again. Tix is bounded subset, means for a fixed vector x, Tix is pointwise bounded, one can say, and we want to prove it as uniformly bounded. Therefore, let us come to the proof. The proof of this theorem is given in 3 steps. The steps are very easy to prove. In first step, we are going to construct one set Fn and we will prove it as a closed subset. Okay. And in the second step, we will prove that Fn to be union of B, union of B to be union of Fn. And in the last step, we will go for the proof which we want to do. Okay. Therefore, let me start. Okay, therefore here we prove the theorem in the following step. First step we will write step number 1. Okay, now here in this step, for each positive integer, we will construct one set. Therefore, for each positive integer n, define, what should I define? Capital Fn is equal to collection of all x in B in the Banach space, that is in the domain of Ti, such that norm of Ti of x is less than or equals to n for all I. Norm of Ti of x is less than or equals to n for all I. Okay. Norm of Ti of x is less than or equals to n for all I. For every positive integer, we can define such a set. Now, in the first step, our aim is to prove that this Fn is closed subset. Fn is closed subset of B. Okay, I forgot to mention again why such a n is going to exist, because Tix is given to be bounded subset of n. That is, Ti for every fixed vector x, Tix is bounded. That is, it is pointwise bounded. Therefore, with the help of that positive integer, one can find out such a n for which norm of Tix is less than or equals to n. Therefore, let us come to the aim to prove Fn is closed subset of B. Okay. In order to prove Fn is closed subset of B, we will start with a closed sphere. Therefore, let me start with let S of closed rectangular bracket 0n. Actually, we are using open brackets for the open sphere. Here, we will use closed brackets for the notation of closed sphere. Therefore, here let me write S of 0n be the closed sphere with center at origin and radius, no doubt, n, where it is in the normed linear space n. Okay, then by the definition of Fn, let us start. If x is any vector in Fn, what does it mean? If x is any vector in Fn, it means simply that norm of Ti of x is less than or equals to n for all I. Okay. If it is belonging to, let me write implies and implied value because it holds in both the ways. Ti of x is less than or equals to n. May I say therefore Tix is no doubt a member of the sphere centered at origin and radius n. Again, it is for all I. If Tix is a member of this sphere, therefore may I say x will be a member of Ti inverse of S of 0n. Ti inverse of S of 0, n. Okay. Now again this is true for all I. This is true for all I. If it is true for all I, may I say X lies in the intersection of Ti inverse S of 0, n. Because it is for all I we are saying. Therefore, this is Ti inverse is in. Okay. Therefore, X is in Fn implies and implied by X is in the intersection. Therefore, may I write Fn is nothing but intersection over I of the sets Ti inverse S of 0, n. Ti inverse. Therefore, Fn we have proved to be the intersection of Ti inverse image under Ti of all the closed sphere. Now what we know, Ti is given to be continuous, right? If Ti is continuous, what we know under a continuous function, inverse image of closed sets is closed. But what about S of 0n? S of 0n is a closed sphere under the consideration. Therefore, this is a closed set. Ti is continuous. If Ti is continuous, inverse image of closed set will be closed, which implies Ti inverse of S of 0 n is closed sets, and finally it is the intersection. Intersection of all closed sets is again closed. In this regard, we get Fn to be a closed set, okay, being the intersection of closed sets, right? Therefore, we can say that Fn is closed set in B. Fn is closed set in B. Okay, which concept here we have used? Let me write the definition. Since Ti is continuous, inverse image of closed set is closed. Actually, this is true for open sets as well, right? In one of the basic lectures, we have discussed this everything. I think I am clear to everyone. Right? The first step we have completed, that the set Fn, which we have selected Fn to be the collection of all x, where Tix is, norm Tix is less than or equals to n. In the first step, we have proved this to be closed set in B. Now, in the second step, we want to prove that this Fn is, this B is written as union of B is equal to union n from 1 to infinity Fn. Union 1 to infinity Fn. Right. Now, in order to prove this result, what we will do? We will start with the supposition this equality doesn't hold. Therefore, if I suppose, I will just check what happened while writing this. If suppose B is not equal to union Fn. What will happen if B is not equal to union Fn? B, whether B is contained in Fn or Fn is contained in B. Can anyone answer? Okay, what we have selected Fn to be collection of such a vectors x in B on the condition norm Tix is less than or equals to n. Norm Tix is less than or equals to n. Means Fn is no doubt contained in B. Right. Now, what about union Fn? Union Fn will also be contained in B. Union Fn is also contained in B. Reverse is not possible. That is, B will not be contained in union Fn. B will not be contained in union Fn. Therefore, if I suppose B is not equals to union Fn, then may I say there exists some x in B such that x is not in Not in union Fn. If it is not in union Fn, means it is not in Fn. X is not in Fn for all n. For all n. Right? This is not equals to Xn is not, Xn does not belongs to Fn. But what is the definition of Fn we have made? Here I have written. What is the definition of Fn? Collection of all x in B, norm Tix is less than or equals to B. Therefore, if I am finding one vector x in B which is not in Fn, therefore what can I write? As x doesn't belongs to Fn, it implies that norm of Ti of x is strictly greater than n for all n. Strictly greater than n for all n. Therefore, what this implies? Norm Tix is not bounded. Norm Tix is not bounded for any x. But what this gives us? This gives us the contradiction, which is a contradiction. Because what is given to us, that Tix is bounded. Therefore, Tix, gives a contradiction. Hence, whatever the assumption we have made is wrong. Hence, we get that this B is written as union of all Fn's, n from 1 to infinity. This is what about the second step. Now, let us go to the third step and proving the main results. In the third step, we will prove that this Ti is uniformly bounded. Therefore, let us write step number 3 to prove that set norm Ti is bounded. Okay, set norm Ti is bounded. In order to prove that set norm Ti is bounded, we want, our aim is to find out one constant. Right, here I will write what we want to find out. Our aim is to find out one positive constant which gives some norm of Ti is less than or equals to some constant. Right, that is to prove. This is what our final aim is to prove. Right. Therefore, in this step, we will use bare category theorem in order to complete the proof of the theorem. What is bare category theorem? Or Bayes' theorem simply. Every complete metric space is of second category. Na? Therefore, let me write Bayes' theorem. Theorem says that every complete metric space is of second category. Now here what is the assumption? The domain of these functions Ti is a Banach space, and we know Banach is a complete metric space. Therefore, surely we have a complete metric space as the domain of the function Ti. Therefore, it is a second category. Now, what is the meaning of second category? Closure of at least one set must have non-empty interior. Here I will write that is closure of at least one set must have non-empty interior. Okay. Therefore, here also in this Fn, we have at least we will find one integer n naught such that Fn not have non-empty interior. Therefore, here I will write there exists an integer n naught such that Fn naught closure must have non-empty interior. But Fn is closed. As Fn is closed, one can say that Fn naught closure is equal to Fn naught. Therefore, one can say that Fn naught closure is equals to Fn naught. Fn naught closure have non-empty interior. Therefore, may I say Fn naught have non-empty interior. Non-empty interior means we have at least one element in the interior. We cannot have non-empty interior. Therefore, let us find out that interior points to be some x naught. Therefore, there exists x naught in Fn naught so that Fn naught is neighborhood of x naught. Fn naught is a neighborhood of x naught. Fn naught, x naught is an interior point. Na? Therefore, since Fn naught is closed, since Fn naught is closed, there exists a closed sphere, say S of x naught r naught. Instead of open sphere, we are considering a closed sphere here with center at x naught and radius r naught. Therefore, it can be defined as x naught r naught is the collection of all x in B such that norm of x minus x naught is less than or equals to r naught, and surely it is contained in Fn naught. Let me call this to be statement number 3. Right. Now let us take x in B. Let x in B be an arbitrary element such that it is non-zero, and take another combination, say z is equal to x naught plus rx, where r is equals to r naught upon 2 times norm of x. Try to understand the situation. This is our Banach space B. Somewhere here B Fn, and we are saying there exists interior point x naught, and therefore this is a sphere under the consideration with radius say r naught. This is what the radius is. Now we are selecting a point z such that z here x be an arbitrary point in B. Now we are selecting z to be the linear combination of x r naught, right, with a scalar r. Therefore, let us we have defined z as x naught plus rx. Then norm of z minus x naught is equal to norm of rx. What is norm of rx? This is r into norm of x. Norm of this is r naught upon 2 times norm of x into norm of x, which gives me r naught upon 2. Therefore, the distance between z and x naught is r naught upon 2. Therefore, the vector z is going to lie in this sphere. Right? Therefore, z belongs to S of x naught r naught, which is contained in Fn naught. Okay. Therefore, one can say that from the definition of Fn naught, norm of Piz is less than or equals to n naught for all I. Okay. Let me call this to be some equation number. Here I will call this to be 4 and let this be 5. Okay. Now since x naught is in S of x naught r naught as a center, therefore this is also contained in Fn naught, right? Therefore from 4 we can find out x is equal to 4 implies. I am running out of the time, 5 minutes left, therefore let me complete this. If you have any queries, we will discuss it later. So this is 1 by r z minus x naught for any x in B. Okay, then for any x in B, let us just go directly to find out norm of Pi of x. What is norm of Pi of x? This is 1 by r norm of Pi of z minus x naught, right? Which is equal to 1 by r. Pi is linear, therefore this is norm of Piz minus Ti of x naught. The rest is the calculative part. Now I am using a triangular inequality, which is 1 by r norm of Pi of z plus norm of Pi of x naught. But from 4 and from 5 and 6, here I have not written 6 now. Piz less than or equals to x naught. From 4 and 5, this is less than or equals to 1 by r naught upon r naught. Sorry, n naught upon n naught. This is n naught plus n naught. Therefore, it gives us together 2 n naught upon r. Okay. And if I substitute the value of r also, this is 2 n naught upon 2 norm of x upon r naught. Right? If norm Ti of x is less than or equals to this much, therefore norm of Ti of x upon norm of x is less than or equals to 4 n naught upon r naught, where n naught and r naught both are the constant. Therefore, if I take suprema over I, therefore suprema norm Ti of x upon norm of x. There is no x on the right, therefore this is 4 n naught upon r naught. But what according to the definition, this supremum is nothing but norm of Ti and is less than or equals to a fixed constant. Let me call it as C. Therefore this is C, where C is equals to 4 n naught upon r naught. Okay, this we have proved that the set norm Ti is bounded, right? Which in other words we can say that this is, this is set Ti is bounded subset of V of n. That is, we have found this constant uniformly for all Ti, which works for all Ti. Therefore, this set Ti will give us the uniform boundedness property. Therefore, we have started with Ti to be bounded pointwise, and we have proved this is bounded uniformly. Three major steps we have followed. In the first step, we have defined Fn. Okay. In the second step, we have proved that this B is union of all such a closed sets. And the third step, we have proved norm Ti is less than or equals to some fixed constant. Okay. Therefore, this is what today's theorem is. Pointwise convergence implies uniform boundedness. Pointwise boundedness implies uniform boundedness provided the domain of the given mappings is a Banach. So this is what one of the important characteristics we have. If you have any kind of doubts for today's lecture, we will either take one more lecture, or you can message me at any time. I will clear all your doubts. Thank you for being with me for the today's lecture. Thank you very much.